Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes here live for a Tuesday night edition of Across the Board. We're talking NFL trades. We're talking NCAA basketball regular season coming to an end, some NBA news and more. Welcome to the show tonight with us. I got my man Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10 in the building with me tonight. How you feeling, Mossberg?
Feeling pretty good. It's a Tuesday evening. Normally, I'm at the plantation, but it feels good to not be in a plantation. And I think I found my purpose. I didn't tell you before we got on stream, man. I've been doing a lot of reading, in my text, talking to the guys a lot. And, over this weekend, I really think I found my purpose in a lot of ways moving forward. And part of it is what we do, for sure, and just moving forward and just grasping so many things that I didn't know I had as a potential to be successful. And I've been doing that, as you see, through some of my posts and reels and things on Instagram and Facebook. So I appreciate you for actually unlocking that potential that I actually didn't know that was in me. So I appreciate you as well.
Yeah, bro, you're welcome. You're welcome. A lot of times, man, we don't really know what we got, what hidden talents we got deep down inside us until somebody else sort of activates it for us. And I'm glad I could be a help to activate that talent within you, because you have a whole lot of talent and skills, bro. That was just another one that was just waiting to surface, and I'm glad that we have it on display now, and you've been putting it out there on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also here with us live at on our YouTube channels. So I appreciate you for that. Let's get into some of the discussion. We know that David Montgomery has been traded to the Texans. What's your thoughts? Will the Texans probably draft a younger running back this year to pair with Montgomery? What's your thoughts on that? But before you go, let's welcome our man Post Game to the show, our man Post Game of the Post Game podcast. Welcome in tonight. We appreciate you joining us. How you feeling this evening?
I feel great, man. Good evening to the homies. How y'all doing, man?
Doing well, doing well. Good to see you here tonight with us.
Since you popped in, we're going to go ahead and let you start off with the Montgomery business post game, since you got your credentials and you've been Jeremiah Love and you know quite a bit about these running backs. What's your scoop before I talk a little bit about what I think?
I appreciate that, Moss.
Yes, sir.
Is my sound okay?
Yes,
sir. You good? You good?
I'm good. Excellent. Man, that was a big addition to the Texans. And with them adding David Montgomery, I don't think they'll be drafting the running back, because you got to think they do still have Woody Marks on the roster and they like him a lot. And you add him with Montgomery and they like a Wale. So to me, it feels like the Texans made that play so they wouldn't have to burn a draft pick on a running back. They can work on that offensive line potentially. So this only tells me that the Texans want to play great defense. They know what type of defense they have, and they want to run the ball and probably want to do a better job of protecting their quarterback. So I don't think they'll be drafting a young running back. Maybe in the later rounds they take a shot on a guy, but unless you trading up to get Mr. Love, they're not drafting a running back in the first round.
Yeah, I totally agree. In ways I was thinking, but I think that makes, way of, like you said, for that later round, if someone's there, I don't think they'll put anything on the table to trade up for Jordan Love. I don't know. Like, I think when you get Montgomery and you have Marks CJ finally have two backs and he could really show his skill. And we know what he did at Ohio State when he had two backs, that he could actually throw the ball to one, hand the ball off to another. I think he actually has a hell of an offense now in Houston. And I think if we've seen the late season push that they had this past season, one thing they was missing was a late game running back. Woody Marks couldn't take on the load throughout the season. So I think having this addition makes them that much more of a threat in the AFC. And if you think about it, they really one of those teams that have now two backs, and you could really feature one or the other and not go wrong. You don't have that with a lot of teams in the AFC.
What's happening, SEC Sean, out there in the chat? Thanks for joining us, and we appreciate you always supporting us on the show whenever you can't be on here live with us. You always in the chat, making sure you had comments, questions, and all those things. So we really do appreciate you for that, SEC Sean. I'm telling you right now, David Montgomery is licking his freaking chops, bro. He's saying to himself, what Joe Mixon was able to do 2 years ago before he got hurt that season, he was balling out. I'm going to get a chance to be back there with a all-pro quarterback who is going to open up rushing lanes for me because teams are going to have to respect his pass game. If that offensive line get together, I can see Montgomery being one of the top 10 rushing running backs in the NFL next season if he stays healthy. He probably feels like, listen, Detroit was underusing me this year because of Gibbs and the fact that Gibbs is so dynamic. He was happy to get, I'm quite sure he's happy to have gotten out of Detroit to get to go to Houston, where he's probably going to be the featured back, a guy who is good in pass pro. He can block. I know he is ecstatic about this move, and I think the fact that they brought in David Montgomery, they probably will not pick a running back in the early rounds. They might look to a guy in the later rounds, 5, 6, 7, to see if maybe they could get another piece. They could probably put on special teams in the beginning and eventually work that guy in at the running back position if one of their running backs go down and they got a third guy that they need to have in that backfield. But I'm telling you now, he is probably ecstatic and excited at the fact that he gets to go to the Houston Texans because they're going to feed him the rock. They're going to feed him the rock. And we know how dynamic he is once you get in the red zone. That guy can move the pile. That guy inside the 5-yard line especially, he can get in that end zone. That's for sure.
This Houston team returns everyone, if I'm not mistaken, at the receiver position. And I think when you add a Montgomery, I'm going to say if he's healthy, he's top 5 in rushing, and he might be top 3 all-purpose. I think he's that good, that electrifying. I think he's going to be in a position, well, not be in a position. I think he puts himself in a position. He goes to get that workout over the summer, have this excellent offseason to condition his body to where he could be durable throughout a season stretch. You know, to where those carries to Woody Marks is not just through an injury. It's Woody Marks respectively earning his, carries as we've seen what he did last year. So I definitely think this is a good move for the Houston Texans. Watch out. Because we've seen what C.J. Stroud did late in the season with this Houston Texans team when they came on, and we know how strong their defense is. So I think they're a scary team. Again, as nobody talked about them, they came on strong.
Yeah, for sure. Our man SEC Sean said it's a big night for Aggies athletics tonight. That's why he's not able to join the show. Please keep us posted on what's going on in Aggie land so that way we could say something about it for you, SEC Sean. We appreciate you for giving us the update on that. Our next question out there is NFL teams have started releasing some veteran players. How much of an impact does the NFL Combine results have on veterans being released by their NFL teams?
Mm. What's your thoughts, Terry? I think it's a big deal. I think you mentioned that last week, if I'm not mistaken, about the possibility of that to look into with the way the speed of these combines are, the way these freakish athletes we're starting to see. I think they work ethic. You know, these young kids coming in, they want to play. You know, they working hard, they putting it out there, and I think it's something to be aware of. They definitely got to, put their work in. It's not about your name anymore. You definitely got to put that work in on Sunday, and if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, your job is in jeopardy. That's just what this combine might have did. It opened up a new book of something that we have to look at all over again.
I think it has some impact when it comes to releasing or keeping veterans. Of course, it's a young man's game. I I think by the time the uh the combines roll around, I think NFL teams already have an idea about who they're going to release and who they're going to keep. So, but I mean, definitely, you know, for I think it's on the individual basis. You know what I mean? So I mean, could it have some effect on teams? It again, it's a situational thing. It all depends on what kind of situation each team is in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has some impact on what you're going to do when you with your veteran players in terms of releasing them or not. But most of these NFL teams, they have some of the best scouting departments you could ever imagine any sports program having. So they already know from the film what kind of guys that are out there, what they can do. The combine just sort of give you another or closer look at their measurables. I think it has some impact, but not a whole lot because the film is what they really go by anyway. In my opinion, if you like a guy or not, it's based on what his production on the football field. But of course, it has some because you thinking of a guy who you might want to get in maybe in the later rounds in the third or fourth, and he might go into the combine and have some amazing numbers, and you might decide, hey man, we might need to get this guy in the second round because we know this team, and this team needs a player in that position, so we might need to make a move on him a little bit earlier than normal, especially if we got an aging player on our team that probably is going to demand a high contract, and we can probably get from under that and save some cap space and get a younger guy who has some really, really good measurables at the combine. Slightly, I believe it does, but I don't think it has a whole lot of effect on veterans being released.
I like you mentioned that. I think that's where I'm really thinking too is the fact that the money thing, money issue. Paying a younger player over playing a veteran and releasing that player to where they do get signed by somebody else. I think that's really where I'm thinking mostly where to have that effect too. I think, as well it might have something down the road, but for now I'm thinking with the money for sure.
Aggie fans out there, our man SEC Sean, one of our WTP affiliates from the SEC Sean podcast, is saying the baseball team for the Aggies won today 11-1 over Incarnate Word, and the basketball team is up on Kentucky 45-33 at the end of the first half. They went out on a 27-3 run on those Kentucky Wildcats. Thanks for that update, SEC Sean. Please keep giving us some more and more about your Aggies athletics tonight. As we go to the next question, the speed of the players at the combine over the past 3 years have increased. If that continues, will we see teams releasing veteran players a few years sooner or will veteran experience hold serve?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a situational thing. I think, maybe if you talk about a veteran whose play has fell off and they might be getting paid a nice chunk of change. Yeah, I can see that scenario where you finding that replacement, you draft them and you release the veteran a little sooner because you know how expensive they're gonna be and their play has dropped off. So definitely, and again, it'd be situational.
I agree. I think that's what I'm looking at, like overall situational. But I mean, man, having a big contract, I think that's definitely going to happen. I think sooner than later, seeing a veteran with a big contract, because it's definitely some players out there I think capable of coming in and playing better than some veterans right now at key positions with big contracts. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I think the speed and this athleticism and the size of some of these guys is probably going to have some kind of impact on that, especially when you got, like y'all said earlier, veteran players who are not as productive as they have been, maybe over the last few years. And then when you start looking at contracts, maybe that can have an effect on it too. But man, some of these guys, man, I'm telling you, if they have the intelligence and the understanding of the game, coupled with that speed, coupled with that athleticism, they could definitely force some of these NFL owners and some of these GMs' hand to go after some of these younger players, as opposed to keeping a veteran guy who might cost a little bit more money, especially when you can get a guy on a 3, 4 year contract coming in where we know he's making not nearly as much as a veteran player will be making if that veteran player is still producing a little bit. So I think it has some impact, but maybe not as great as we might see in the upcoming years. Because, like we said earlier, the football is one of those sports where we know the NFL player's career isn't that long. It's probably 3 to a 5 year span. A lot of guys play more than that, but not many. So it could possibly have an impact at some point in the years to come.
Like I think about the fact of like a big contract, like I just said about players just playing currently. No disrespect to Kyler Murray, he's getting the big bag still. If Arizona's on a clock at a certain position and they need a QB, Ty Simpson, it looked like like things like that. I think about the upside of a quarterback like Ty Simpson and the decrease in a quarterback like Kyler Murray. Would you want to put him in Arizona with a weapon like Marvin? You think of a lot of things like that. So I think it's very possible. I think the way Styles, Reese, Love, I mean, you could go all through players that ran this 40 and just performed in its combine within itself and say they could go play Sunday and replace a lot of these big money players right now. That's, like I said, that's just my opinion, but I just think that's it's going to come to.
Yeah, before we switch over to the NBA post game, what's your thoughts on Kyler Murray and the whole Arizona situation? Um, do you think that they should be going in a different direction, or do you? Because I've heard there's rumors out there that maybe um, that wide receiver from Ohio State might be disgruntled and want to get out of there if Kyler Murray is going to be their quarterback. What's your thoughts on that whole situation with Kyler Murray and those Cardinals?
Yeah, I just think it's time for Kyler Murray to move on. I think it would be beneficial for him in his career, and I think it'd be beneficial for the Arizona Cardinals as an organization because they want to keep Marv Jr. on that roster for sure. Um, I think I don't think Jacoby Brissett played bad last season. I know he's not all world, but I would at least give him another season and look to find my quarterback of the future, in the later rounds of this draft or next year's draft. So, I mean, I just think it's time for Kyler Murray to move on.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where we've seen it many times where a franchise has kept a guy a little bit too long. The writing was on the wall several years ago where they probably should have looked to part ways with him. And when you look at some of the quarterback changes over the last 3, 4 years, they could have possibly landed one of those guys who has been moving all around and possibly had some much more productive football seasons with a different quarterback other than Kyler Murray. So I think the writing has been on the wall for quite a few years now, and they probably should have done something back then. But now they definitely need to do something. I like Kyler Murray as a football player coming out of college, but at this point in his career, he can still make some money in the NFL as a backup, and he should probably not rule that out, and if you still want to make some money in the NFL.
No, this is something that I just thought about this, talking about this. The Cardinals got the fourth pick.
Titans got the fourth pick. I'm not sure what pick the Cardinals got, but the Titans got the fourth pick. They got the third.
Do they need it? Like, are they needs at QB?
Well, I mean, if this draft was different, if this draft was next year's draft and they had the third pick, they would probably definitely get a quarterback. But since this one isn't that high with quarterbacks, I don't think they'll pull the trigger at 3 on a quarterback. Maybe if Mendoza fall to him, maybe.
Thinking would they move up and trade for the? I don't know, but you never know with this NFL. I mean, as good as I felt, Kyler Murray is, I mean, it's just that time in his career where Arizona have to make that next move. I just don't think, with a player like Marvin Harrison, his, level of talent we know, I think he definitely has to have a quarterback to get him going. I don't think it's going to be much.
Yeah, let's turn our attentions to the NBA. Is Con Knippel your rookie of the year in the NBA so far, or his former Duke teammate Cooper Flag?
That's a really good question. Oh man, I don't really know how you separate them. I guess neither one of these teams is going anywhere or winning anything this season. Their statistics are pretty close. I think Cooper Flag averages one more rebound, one more assist, a half more assist, probably 1.1 more points. It's really close. I don't. So the one thing that I'm going to use to separate them, and I'm going to go with Con Knippel because he has more 3-pointers his rookie season than Damian Lillard hit, than Steph Curry, than Ray Allen, Klay Thompson, James Harden, Reggie Miller. Those are some like all-time players. And, if I had to find something to separate those two, because I believe it's close, it's just the fact that he's hit more threes than those guys. So I'm going to go Con Knippel just for that.
Man, I'm piggybacking. I'm going Con Knippel, and I'm going to call Con Knippel Con the kneecap. Because I'm going to call him a sniper. 44% shooting beyond the arc. He's actually shooting better in every statistical category over Cooper Flag. And if you think about when they played at Duke together, Con Knippel pushed Duke through that tournament. We know how good Cooper Flag is. If you go look at Con Nipple and watch his performance throughout Duke's ACC tournament and March Madness, you could really nab him as an MVP. I like Con Nipple from when he played at Duke. I thought he was a glue. I like what he's done in Charlotte. Amongst having a LaMelo Ball, you got Miller. They have quite a young nucleus, but he's came in. He's made a name for himself. He's averaging 19.3 and 48.9% field goal, almost 50%, 87.8 from the free throw line. And like I said, 44.3. That's pretty dangerous. And he actually has more points than Superfly this season by almost 60, 70 points, even though he's played 11 more games.
Yeah, I'm going Con Nipple as well, simply because y'all already said how similar their stats are. But the simple fact that when both of these guys came into the league, if any of us had to say who we think would be the rookie of the year, I think everybody, the consensus probably would have been Cooper Flag over Con Nipple. But the fact that Con Nipple has come into the NBA, has been balling out. We knew he was really good at Duke, but I don't know if any of us expected him to ball at the level that he's playing right now. We knew Cooper Flag was going to come in once he learned the game, the speed of the game. He was going to be able to do what he do. But Con Nipple doing it seems a little bit different for me. So I would go with Con Nipple for the simple fact that, you know, he just didn't seem like he was going to be the guy who would be in the running for Rookie of the Year, even though we knew he was going to be a good player in the NBA. I didn't think he would have this kind of impact for the Charlotte Hornets. So I'm going to go with Con Nipple as well.
And, you know, one thing I think I'm not going to say a lot of people don't know. If you know, you know. I'm going to say that. Con Nipple got IQ. When you pair it with a player like LaMelo Ball, it's like all you have to do is find your spot. You go excel at doing what you do best. LaMelo Ball, I got a buddy of mine who chimes in sometimes, Josh. He told me LaMelo Ball was going to be what he is today when he came in as a rookie before he got to the NBA. He said he was going to be this. So when you have a LaMelo Ball, Con Nipple, then you have the Miller, then you have the Bridges, you never know what they're building over there in Charlotte. And I think it's special to watch this team develop, mature, and who knows, they could be a team to make a turnaround, even though we're talking basketball like the Panthers did on the football side next season. I'm going to put that in the air. Con Nipple get Rookie of the Year. Charlotte gets to the playoffs next season.
It would be awesome if Charlotte could land them a veteran player to go along with those two guys, man. A veteran player who isn't, I hate to call these guys divas, man, because they play really, really hard, man. But sometimes you just seem like some of them veteran guys, they can go to a team like Charlotte and they don't be putting it all on the line like they would if they were on a team that they felt was a championship caliber team. But I would like to see them get a really good veteran player to go and play with Con Nipple and LaMelo Ball, man. I would love to see that and see Charlotte get up. Is Charlotte willing to spend the bank on that too? And, you know, would they pull the trigger on getting a veteran guy? And would a veteran guy even want to go to Charlotte? It's a really, really nice city. I just think that their market is just a little bit below what most of those big time veteran players will want to go and play at. But the city is awesome. They would probably like the city.
For sure.
Who's the scariest team in the NBA in a 7-game series that no one is talking about?
Oh, that nobody is talking about. That's a tough one. I think the Denver Nuggets, just because they got Jokic. I don't think. Well, is that an obvious one? Y'all think that's an obvious one?
No,
Nah,
not to me. That's not an obvious one.
Okay.
nah, nobody been talking about him. I like it.
It seems like all of their players that they're going to need to compete in the playoffs or is normally banged up all the time. So if the Denver Nuggets can be healthy in the playoffs and have all their key players surrounded by Jokic, I think they could do some damage in the West. But the key thing for them to me is going to be their health. Do they got those key players in the mix when playoff time comes? And if that's the case, they'll be a very scary out. They're sitting at that 5 seed. I don't think Minnesota wants that matchup first round.
You know, I really haven't watched much of Houston, but I had to watch my boy. I've been watching him since high school. When he go back home, man, I've been watching KD. I'm gonna go with the Houston Rockets. I really haven't been seeing a lot of people really talk about these Rockets. Um, I think in the 7 game series they're scary. If you think about Kevin Durant when he played with Golden State in Toronto, tore his Achilles. To watch him doing what he's doing, I don't know. Like it's to me, it's basketball at its finest. I love watching when KD on the floor what he do. I think this Houston team, as they get better, and like you said, post about Denver being healthy, I think they as scary as any team in the West because the possibilities is just uncanny.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a healthy Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, man. I think the East is a conference that anybody probably 1 through 6 or 7 or 8 could possibly have the pieces to make a run in the 7 game series. But Joel Embiid healthy, paired up with the team that they have, these guys have been able to play and win some games without him being in the lineup or be close in some games without him in the lineup throughout this whole entire season. That I think the way those guys are playing, if they can continue to play that way with their healthy Joel Embiid, the 76ers could be a tough out, man, in the 7 game series.
Yeah,
I could be
I
talking
agree.
like a homer, though. I could be sounding like a homer.
Nah,
I
I
hope that's
agree.
true, what I'm saying.
I like it. I think they're dangerous. Is they could imagine if Philly had if Joel Embiid was actually healthy for 60 games, just say 60 straight games. I feel Philly could possibly be the number 1 team in the NBA. I just think that's how good. I know we all feel and know how good Joel Embiid is. That just shows 60 games. I think they could possibly be the number 1 team, especially the way Edge Cone is playing. You know what Maxey brings to the table, and just say it, injury free. Yeah, Paul George. I mean, all these different things because Paul George was getting 16, 17 a game before he got a suspension. So this Philly team, I like that thought. With a healthy Embiid, they could definitely be a team to watch and a tough team for anybody in the 7 game series. I like it.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on will OKC in the West and Detroit in the East finish as the number 1 seeds of their conferences? And what team could push for that position?
Yeah, I think I think Detroit has the best chance to finish first in their conference. I think they have the better chance because San Antonio is only 3 games behind, and I think they can make a push for that 1 seed. You know, but I think Detroit is closer to being a lock for the one. OKC can be the one, but man, San Antonio is playing really good ball, and I wouldn't quite count them out. I would feel better saying that Detroit is going to finish as the 1 seed.
It's it's tough enough winning back-to-back championships in today's day and age. The first question with OKC this season was would they get the record. I said no. I'm going to say no to OKC being the top team in the West. I think, like you said about San Antonio, 3 games. San Antonio, we know they can streak for 10 or 15 games and go on a nice run. We know who they have when it comes to Wimbo. So I say Detroit has the best chance. The Detroit team, I think they just went through a tough little, roughy week coming out of All-Star break. People, having that target on their back. But I think going through what they've been through, just coming out of All-Star break, I think prepares them for the rest of the season, push for even more in this last couple weeks of the season, for much more. They got aspirations of an NBA title. So when you think about Detroit and OKC, I actually take Detroit over OKC in a 7-game series. People will say I'm crazy, but I would. I don't know what it is about Cade Cunningham. I like that kid and the way they really rally around him. Jalen Durant, people say what they say, but when you got a player on your team, that's going to protect you. That makes you move different as a unit. So that's something to look out for too.
Yeah, I think Detroit has the better chance as well, simply because the East. I don't think the teams in the East are as roster stacked as some of the teams are in the West. So it's going to be a tougher challenge for OKC to finish with that number 1 seed. I think they got anywhere from 20 to 22, 23 games left in the regular season. And as postgame said, San Antonio is only 3 games back. They can get hot and make a run. And we've seen that OKC has been a little bit vulnerable here and there during the season. So I definitely think Detroit has the better chance, being that they have a 5-game lead over, I think, Boston might be the team behind them. So I can definitely see Detroit being that team that will finish with the number 1 seed over OKC in the West. But I mean, they both could do it though, for sure. Let's turn our attentions to the NCAA men's and women's basketball. The regular season is coming to an end. How much can the last week, this week right that we're in now, have on tournament seedings? Do you think it's going to have any impact?
You want to take this one, Moss?
Major impact. I think it'll have a lot of impact. You can go from, on the men's side, you could be a 1 seed and go to a 3 seed in the tournament. It's not a 4 seed. You've had teams that been at a 4 seed and they have the possibility to go up to a 1 overall seed. So on the men's side, I think it's going to get hectic. Women's side, I think there might be a few changes, but I don't know. I think we're gonna be in for a surprise with the women for some reason. I think this last week, I think it's gonna show a lot of hunger with some of the teams that's been playing on the women's side, and I know that they've been getting healthy during this back push. So I think that'll propel some of those teams on the women's side, especially a team like a Notre Dame, who won a post slot. I've been watching that Notre Dame women's team. They've been doing their thing, and I think they can make a run in this tournament. So I don't know. I think it's a lot to be said, but I think it can happen for sure. A lot of freedom.
Yeah, I think maybe in some seedings behind the number 1 seeds and the last number 1 seed. I think Michigan, Arizona, Duke probably has solidified themselves as 3 of the favorites to get a number 1 seed. I think no matter what happens, I think with those 3 teams, I think they're 3 of the best teams in the country. Now that last seed can go to anybody from Houston to Iowa State to Florida, possibly UConn. there's going to be several teams that are going to be vying for that last number one seed. And then you're going to have to sprinkle the rest of them on in where they're going to fit in at. I don't think it's going to have as much of an impact on the guys' side. Maybe some of those teams on the bubble, they have a chance to get off that bubble line, like our man SEC Sean is mentioning while he's watching his Aggies game, because he knows that his Aggies have a chance to get in the tournament, but they might be in a play-in game right now. So this game for them is very, very critical. They want to get this win and win convincingly against a Kentucky team who is probably going to be in the tournament. So in those instances, yes. But I think at the top, in both men's and women's, I don't think it's going to have that much of a bearing. I think the top 4 number one seeds is probably pretty much solidified in both of them. Maybe except for that last spot on the men's side.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think in certain situations, conference play can deliver as far as your NCAA ranking goes for a few teams. Like Arizona, for example, if they can lose in the first round, I still think they a number one seed. You know, they got the most quad one wins. So I think no matter what a team like Arizona or Duke, or similar to what you said, Rob, all the top 4 teams. Now the top 4 team to look out for is UConn, because if Florida wins their conference championship and UConn loses their Big East, tournament championship, I think Florida in that instance would jump UConn for that 4th seed. So, it could change a little bit, not a lot, but there's certain scenarios where it's definitely worth monitoring.
Yeah, that's for sure, for sure. Is Duke the men's favorite in y'all's opinion?
I think they one of them, but again, if you asking me, I've been telling Moss since the first game of the regular season. I told him, listen, I like this Arizona team. Yeah. And I said that from the jump, because when I saw what they was working with, I didn't think anybody in the nation had what they had. Now it's close with Duke and Michigan and maybe another team or two, but my personal favorite is definitely Arizona. I'll take them healthy any day.
I think Duke has went up to my favorite just in the last few weeks since the Michigan game. But after, like I said, you know how it goes for me. When I see a week or a weekend of basketball, things can change, thoughts change. So Duke is a favorite. Arizona looks like an overall number one seed and a favorite, of course. Michigan, and you got UConn, Florida. They're the reigning national champs. Until they're out of the tournament, you got to keep them on that line as them being a possibility to win it, because no one talked about them really, I think, enough last year until they started making those waves, and people like, oh, they really, like, they knew they had the shooter, but they didn't know all these players could come together. And I was watching them put it together as the season progressed. So you still got teams like Iowa State. And I said what I said the other day, but then they get a big win. Like, you got the Big 12 is crazy. So, man, Duke right now, Arizona, Michigan. I mean, those really right now my top 3. I can't say that. There's a slew of others that could challenge. So I want to say them 3, not the third.
So let's say that Michigan, Duke, Arizona, and Florida all get number one seeds. If you're a 2 seed, who would you want to meet in the Final Four if you were to win and get to that point? Which one of those number one seeds would you feel comfortable facing and possibly defeating?
Pick your poison, post.
Man, Rob throwing heaters, man.
Man.
Rob throwing heaters, man. You're in rare form tonight, my man.
Yes, sir.
I
Whew.
would say that Duke, Arizona, and Florida are the best three teams. If you asking me, I would say I don't care which one of them it is. Let's play jump ball, right? But if I have to pick one, I would say Michigan. I think they're more beatable than those other teams.
I like the way you say that, and like I'm thinking about this, and you said it right now. Unc is in rare form tonight. He putting us on the spot. Man, this is a tough one. I'm looking at, even though they defended national champs, I'm looking at it the same way because when you think of guard play, I'm looking at Michigan and Florida's guard play against Arizona and Duke's guard play. I think the length of Arizona and Duke's make that difference. You have it, okay, we know you got a Lyndon Boyd, there's a Hall, but Florida's guards, we really don't know who they are outside of Boogie. We know Boogie could heat up, but Boogie could cut off. This Duke team, Burries, not Burries, but Boozer, the veteran that they have, and we've seen what the bench players doing at the guard position. Harris coming off, and he's finding his rhythm. So then with Arizona, you got Burris, you got Bradley. They coming at you in waves. Then you got the other one. He's like 6'9", and he plays guard. So I'm gonna say I gotta go Michigan. It's tough, but I gotta go Michigan. Cadeau hasn't showed me enough throughout his career to lead this Michigan team to a national championship. You gotta have that point guard that's going to get in and get it done. I think, even though we don't know who Florida's guard is, I like that team over that Michigan team.
Yeah, our man One Take Zaya said Duke. Duke is the one team I identified that if their best player can get in foul trouble, you can get them. Every one of those other teams have other answers. I was leaning towards Duke being that team too. I think it's either between Duke or Michigan because I really feel like that Florida team, as long as they going to make it tough on everybody. And then I feel like Arizona, 1 through 5, and the few players that they got to come off the bench is a really, really tough matchup for everybody in the country. So I would go with Duke because I do feel like if Boozer can be contained at any period of time in the game, because Duke has had some times in the game where they are not knocking down shots. Their defensive intensity has picked up. If you can slow Boozer down, I think that team can be had, man. And I would go with either Duke or Michigan, but I'm gonna go with Duke since I got to pick one or the other. I'm gonna say them Dukies. Sorry, Millie Graham, but I'm thinking your Dukies might get popped if Boozer isn't at his best or he gets in foul trouble and has to go sit down for a projected period of time.
Man,
He said Zay said that because of Melissa threatened him. Yeah, he probably did say that because Melissa threatened him. And that's every day though. She probably got a pocket knife in her somewhere on her person, ready to shank him at any given time.
It's good. Well, take that is good to see you in the building, man.
Last question we got on the docket, unless we get any more questions in the chat, is on the women's side in college basketball. Can anyone get UConn's women a run for their title? Can anybody pop UConn?
It'll be the only time I see UConn losing is if they just have their worst game for some reason. This is highly unlikely. But let's just say they play their worst game and the team, builds confidence and is hitting threes and all of a sudden they feel like, oh, we can beat UConn, and they struggling. That's the only type of scenario. Other than that, I would say they are definitely the favorites. They just, man, strong and foot, and it's not just them two. They got pieces everywhere. So, and one of the greatest coaches ever. So, I mean, they'll definitely be the toughest out in my opinion. I mean, but stranger things have happened if they, like I said, struggle and they run into the right team. But outside of that, man, I can't really see it.
Yeah. I would say strong third is Gino's Ariana. That's just the way to look at it. This team looks like a dynasty that we used to seeing out of UConn, and for Gino to have this team, not talked about as they were during the dynasty days, but to be back on that prowl, winning again the way they are. We know what they did for consecutive years before in record fashion performance, and we can go on and on about the list of greats that they have, but I just don't think I don't know. It's tough. You got to be on your best game to beat the UConn women's basketball team. I don't know what other way to say it. You have to be on your best game. That means staying out of foul trouble, not turning the ball over, moving the ball around, using that 24-second shot clock. You got to ace that test, and you got to go above and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear did. That's just my thought.
Yeah, man. One take Zed said, I think South Carolina, UCLA, and Iowa State can give them some good rec, but they are definitely the favorites. Our man SEC Sean said, it would take a perfect game for someone, and UConn plays their worst in order for them not to win this game. One take Zay also said LSU could possibly give them a run too. I've watched several of these really, really good teams. And man, I'm telling you right now, I don't see nobody who UConn will really, literally have to wet the bed, bro. They would have to have one of the worst games ever, and they would have to be playing somebody like Vanderbilt, who got those guards who can just drain threes like crazy, and they got to be hitting from the perimeter at a high clip for anybody to beat this daggone UConn team. I don't see nobody beating them. And I'm telling you right now, as a Texas Longhorns fan, and the possibility of Texas women getting the number one seed, I want them on the opposite side of UConn so they can possibly make the championship game and possibly get crushed by UConn, but still make the championship game. Because if they beat UConn in the Final Four, then that means they ain't making the championship game.
I would like to see that in the championship.
But I hope somebody beat UConn so that way the field can be up in the air for everybody else.
Yeah, man. UConn is definitely the favorite. It's going to be crazy if somebody knocks them out. But I'm going to tell y'all this. If you're looking for that team, that sleeper team, I think Notre Dame is that team. That team, man. I can't talk enough about Hannah Hidalgo. That young lady is special. But if you're looking for a team with a star player, maybe their roster isn't as good as some of the favorite teams, but they got that one dynamic player that can pull off some upsets. That's Hannah Hidalgo and the Fighting Irish. When's the last? I may be missing somebody, but I couldn't think of any. When's the last time y'all heard of a 5'10" point, or excuse me, a 5'6" point guard in women's basketball grabbing 10 rebounds? And I can't think of any, 10 rebounds at 5'6", point guard. If you're looking for that team that can make, y'all remember when Steph Curry was at Davidson, he made a nice little run, but they only had him. Similar to that, a special player that can just go on a run. That's Hannah Hidalgo.
Well, you just made me think of something, Post, and it's all on what I'm working on, and we're gonna break it down shortly. Lisa Pinachero. You just made me. I don't know why you made me think of that name. Like, would she be one that maybe has gotten 10 rebounds? Like, and that's a massive class for Hannah Hidalgo because I keep up with everything you post about her, and I've been watching more highlights. I follow everything now with on my Instagram about it, and I'll be watching the highlights, man. She's something special, and when she gets to the league, I totally agree with you in being that team that could definitely shot, but not just to the Sweet 16, but even further. They got guard play. They can knock down shots, and they run the floor like Coach Carter did them boys. So I totally agree with you with this Notre Dame team. Hannah Hidalgo, post game, definitely would love one of those one-on-ones with you. If you come across it, he's die-hard Notre Dame. He's bending air down there. He would love that one-on-one with you, for sure.
Yeah, Jelani Cambridge is a monster, but
Yeah.
she's a little bigger than Hannah.
Let me ask y'all this, man. Is Aldi Crooks the best low post player in college basketball right now? Well, is she the most dominant? She might not have the most skill, but is she the most dominant down there in the low post?
In the low post, um, because I was gonna say the most dominant is Hannah. Nobody affects the game defensively. I'm just being real, man. They gonna
I
say
feel you.
he post saying that because he like Notre Dame. Nah, the truth is still the truth, bias or not, right? And the truth is nobody affects the game defensively and offensively. This young lady leads the nation in steals while averaging 25 plus points and like 5 or 6 rebounds at 5'6". But if you want post play, Rob, I man, listen, I think Audie Crooks could go on one of those runs. I think because the thing is, man, if you dominant post, I'm gonna go with her because you got her one on one in that post, and she gonna eat. But the one thing I don't like about, well, I ain't gonna say I don't like, but I would like to see her improve. I think she should average more rebounds. Like she should consistently get double figure rebounds. I think if she did that, they would go on a tear because she got the post moves, and can't nobody do nothing with her down there. But I just want to see her rebound more consistently. She'll have some games, but for her size, I think she should be more consistent in rebounding.
I'm gonna go. Man, I'm gonna say 50-50, and I think I could get this off with the split. I'm gonna go. The other half being parlay pose girl from UCLA, Money Bet. I think she moves. I think you both looking at two great players, one taller, one shorter. I would love to watch them just go at it against each other consistently, and I think you'll see them both get better. But yeah, I think I gotta lean towards Audie based on her performance this year. She just dropped another 40 ball to close out the season. So watching her a couple times this year, I'm like, wow, like she's really a down low, and if you match up with her one on one, she's gonna drop that shoulder on you, and she got quick feet. So for her height and her size, it makes me think about like how Charles Barkley moves in that post. Dominant, of course. Imagine if she could dunk the ball. It would be crazy work down low. But yeah, I'm gonna go with her. I go with her, even though it's a close with Lauren Betts. Man, it's very close.
Yeah, I think she outplaying best this year, bro.
Yeah,
I think she outplaying Betts.
Yeah, I think she's out playing Betts as well. Man, she is tough down there in that low post, man. I really would like to see them figure out a way they can get her on uh, a weight loss regimen where she can drop some of that weight. And I think she would if she was to able to get, because I think she moves really well with the weight. But just imagine how much more athletic she could be, especially at the point you made post game about her rebounding effort. I think that if she was to shed a little bit of that weight, her rebounding stats would go up. She would be able to get to a lot more of those rebounds that are sort of in her zone, but she don't necessarily want to plow over anybody to get to them, to get in foul trouble and stuff like that. But if she was to shed some of that weight, I really believe she would be she could become a heck of a rebounder as well. Because I think her low post moves and her frame has allowed her to be able to dominate down there in the low post. But I would like to see her lose some of that weight and then be a little bit more swift on her feet, especially when it comes to getting some of those offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds for her team. Yeah, she don't play very much defense. You're right about that, one take. I think that's probably because of the weight issues as well. She's just not defensively. She don't move as well. She's more of a well, they can play zone in college, so that doesn't. What my point was going to be irrelevant. So, yeah, I would like to see her lose some of that weight, but I think she's the most dominant this year anyway down there in the low post. Yeah, UCLA has one take that they have not lost since they lost to Texas early in the season, and Texas just caught them at the right time because they've been playing some unbelievable basketball. Talking about the UCLA Bruins, some amazing basketball.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else y'all want to talk about before we wrap up? We're right past 1 hour. We're at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Anything else y'all want to talk about before we wrap up?
Not that I know of. I would say, man, everybody always be looking forward to it. I'm gonna let you know right now. Breaking news post tomorrow. Women Wednesdays, hosted by your boy Mossberg. We coming to you with a load of talk on the women's side, man. I gotta give you women your credit, man. It's due. You've been doing your thing in the sports world. It's time that we dibble and dabble in a little bit of our own talk about you ladies respectively and give you your flowers in a way that you grace us with what you do in elegance. And it's like, as they call us, poetry in motion when they watch some of the basketball goats. We watch y'all. It's like watching Ice Capades from back in the day, Cinderella, those type of things. But we appreciate it. So it's going to be Wednesday, Women Wednesday, hosted by your boy Mossberg tomorrow evening.
All right. So we'll be back again tomorrow with my man Mossberg on Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Thursday with our man Post Game hosting the Thursday live stream. So everybody hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. You see all of our channels scrolling across the bottom. Please show us some love. Share our videos. Get your family and friends to subscribe to our channels. We appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening, fellas. Enjoy it, and we will see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace. Enjoy.